to the Chamber Matters. I'm Regina Montgomery, the Public Relations and Membership Coordinator at the Chamber of Commerce. Every business has to have something that makes them unique. There has to be that little piece of information that helps them stand out amongst their competitors. And even if the business is similar, there's always something that is different about them. And that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to explore some of the unique businesses that we have here in our Chamber membership. Our first guest today has a very unique business. She's using her skills as a therapist, and Rapindar Krar has taken her background and her skills and created artist therapy. And thank you for joining us today, Rapindar.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk a little bit about the name artist therapy. That's a unique name in itself that goes along with a very unique business. So talk about the name, where you came up with it, and talk about the business.
So I think most people have heard of therapy and know of therapists, and you know, often when you go to see a therapist, you'll go and sit on a couch, or in Hollywood movies even, you're lying on the couch. What's different about the artist therapy office is that when you would come in, you see a space that's full of art supplies, paints, and you know, Play-Doh and clay and all kinds of different things, pencils and markers and pastels. And it's art therapy is a form of psychotherapy, but what it does is it uses art as a medium, as a vehicle of expression. And some people think that it's just for children, but artist therapy, our youngest client is 5, and our oldest client is actually 100. So it goes right across the board. So you'd come into the space and you would create art, and then you would talk through about what that meant to you, and find better ways to cope with whatever difficult feelings or difficult time that you're going through.
Now, sometimes when people are utilizing this type of service, are they creating masterpieces? Like, do you see masterpieces coming out of this?
So the premise is based on this idea that there's no good and there's no bad art. The art is your personal expression. That's a really powerful concept for someone to come in. And often people feel that they can only access artist therapy if they're an artist themselves. But it's for anybody, and you don't have to be an artist. And you do see some incredible pieces of work that comes out of this process.
And that was what I was going to ask you, is there's probably people who, like myself, who wouldn't necessarily be that artistic, but then they create something. Do you get that? Do you get those people who look at it and go, wow?
Absolutely,
amazing.
Yeah, because they don't know that we, throughout our lives, we're given messages that there's things that we can't do, and through this process, you're given this message that, you know, you can do things, and you don't have to be afraid to try out new things. And when they try a new technique, it could be watercolors or oils, they're just amazed at what comes out for them, and some continue to do the art once the therapy process is sort of terminated for them.
Now, how do you convince people, though, to do that? Because, I mean, art itself it is an expression of feelings, but how do you break them of that, maybe that resistance or that being afraid to do it?
Well, I encourage them to just give it a go and go back to kind of foster their inner child, and think to when, you know, they used crayons and markers and paints, and often when adults come into my space, they often say, oh, you know, I buy that stuff for my children, but I never use it myself. So I use techniques and activities that can just, you know, that you can just kind of explore and have fun, and people really get into it and really enjoy it.
Now, are you an artist? Like, I mean, you're a therapist, but how did you get into the art part of it?
Well, I was always really interested in psychology and the psychology of the mind, and absolutely love art. And I wouldn't say that I was an artist, but I am certainly very creative. So this was a profession that allowed me to bring the two loves that I have, and kind of bring them together and into a profession for myself.
Now, just touching on loves, we're going to take a look at another story that we have of another business who created their business out of a love of shopping, actually. Let's take a look at Serendipity Antiques and Boutique.
The store really is, you know, a place where you can come and hunt and find things, and hopefully by chance find the item that you really love and are looking for. So it's antiques and a boutique, so we call it Serendipity Antique and Boutique. So we have fashion items, upscale secondhand clothing, purses, shoes, as well as antiques and home decor, crystal and silverware, and lamps and all kinds of home decor stuff, beautiful stuff that's all hand-picked by myself. I'm the collector, and stuff that I love to share with the public. I'm ready to share with the public. Well, I'm a big fashion magazine, not fashion, but home decor magazine reader. So I've been following magazines for a long time. So I think I've developed a real good eye for picking the things that I love and what's modern right now, and you know, those things that are selling right now. So everything is something that I have to love, and I don't just pick up anything because it's there. I always pick up things that I love. And I would have in my own home, and many of the things I have, you know, in my own home, some of them. But everything is, yeah, very much loved by me, and my daughter has developed that same type of a passion as well. I've been collecting probably since I was 12 years old. I go to antique stores and secondhand stores, and often people will even come into the store and give us their name, and we go to their house, and I would be picking, you know, what the items that match the style of our store. Yeah, and just all over, wherever I find a good deal and a good collectible. And I'm always out hunting. I'm a real hunter, a treasure hunter, I call it. Just not too long ago, I guess a few weeks ago, I was hunting in Alliston, and I found it's 100% Italian linen. It's a matrimonial bedspread, and the sheet set, just beautiful, and obviously had never been used. So I debated whether I'd take it home to my place and use it myself or bring it to the store. So it's at the store now anyways, and hopefully somebody will find it that loves it just as much as I'd like to take it home and love it. So yeah. It's probably from the 1930s, 1940s. Yeah, somebody put it away in a hope chest, I would say, because it looks like it's never been used. So the biggest challenge, I think, is working with my daughter and making sure that we can get along and agree to things, because I try to include her on everything. And you know, advertising, probably. I haven't done a lot of that yet, so that would be my next step. And getting people aware that where we are and what we sell, and getting them into the store, because right now it just says Serendipity outside, and many people have no idea probably what that represents. So it's getting them into the store to see what we have, and hopefully they return and come back for, you know, finding other items. We'd like to work towards some way doing some consignment. It may even be us just going into the home and picking some items rather than dropping off a whole bunch of items. But we will eventually work in that direction. We just have a lot of product right now of our own. But as we need to develop and gain more product, that is something that we would be willing to do. I know right now I do go into some homes and I'm buying furniture and antique pieces, but the next step would be with the clothing and the handbags and the purses.
So there you have it, another business that used a passion. Hers is shopping therapy, and yours is artist therapy. But you know, I'm wondering if you know, how do you feel about do you feel that businesses are created based on passions?
I absolutely think so. I think that you know, when you're working for somebody that may not necessarily be your passion, but running a small business, starting up a business it's a challenge. So I think that your heart really needs to be there when you're taking on that sort of steep curve, and I'm incredibly I think I love art and I love therapy, but what I love the most is helping people, and people come to me for various reasons. It could be that they're struggling with at a moment in life where it could be a divorce situation, or it could be there's been a death or an illness, or a child's been diagnosed with something, and it's just an honor to be in a position where I can perhaps provide some support to the families that I work with.
Now, you touched on a few challenges. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the challenges you've had in business, whether it's related to your business or just being a self-employed business yourself. And then sort of how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, running a clinical practice is really challenging. And I think if you speak to any small business owner at the chamber, they'll all say that, you know, you wear so many hats. You know, you are the CEO, you are the board of directors, you are the front desk, you are the cleaner, the accountant, and so it's wearing those hats while trying to maintain excellence in service. So that's always that balance, and you want to make sure that you provide the best service possible, but at the same time you've got to keep all these balls in the air as well. You have to juggle those balls. So it's definitely a challenge, but I think being part of the chamber has been a really great support for me, because I think that going out on your own can be not only challenging, but it can be really lonely too, because you're kind of on your own and you're like, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. But being able to go to different chamber events, or just getting to know the different businesses in town, you can sort of chat about the same things that you're encountering, and you can leverage on each other's expertise. And part of the chamber, you have businesses that are more established, that are larger, and they can tell you about their journeys of how they started out and how they became larger and how they took that next step of not just being a sole proprietor, but bringing staff and things like that. So it's just wonderful. And I think especially in the Dufferin area, the chamber's done a fantastic job, and it always feels like a family. Like I don't see you all the time, but I know I can always pick up the phone and say, Radina, I'm struggling with this, or I need this, or do you have any ideas on this? And I'm really grateful for that.
Now we have about 30 seconds left. Just quickly, if I say to you, what does joy mean to you? How would you describe that?
What does joy mean to me is just enjoying the small moments in life. It's how people say smelling the roses, taking time out for family, taking a long lunch and not rushing your lunch. Is just just taking time out for yourself whenever you can, especially as a small business owner.
Perfect. Thank you, Rapindar. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, and we're going to take a short break here on the Chamber Matters, but when we return, the sound of music. Don't go away. And then we just look back.